Welcome to On This Day in History. Today we journey back to July 2nd, 1964, a date that stands as a monumental landmark in the pursuit of justice and equality in the United States. On this day, President Lyndon B. Johnson signed into law the Civil Rights Act of 1964, sweeping legislation that aimed to end segregation and discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin. It was a victory hard-won through decades of struggle, sacrifice, and the unwavering courage of countless activists. For over a century after the Civil War and the abolition of slavery, systemic discrimination, particularly against African Americans in the South, remained deeply entrenched. Jim Crow laws enforced racial segregation in schools, public facilities, transportation, and even voting booths. Violence, intimidation, and economic suppression were common tools used to maintain racial hierarchy. Despite earlier Supreme Court rulings like Brown v. Board of Education, desegregation was slow and fundamental rights were denied to millions. The early 1960s saw the civil rights movement gain unprecedented momentum. From sit-ins and freedom rides to massive demonstrations like the March on Washington in 1963, led by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the nation witnessed the moral urgency of the demand for equality. President John F. Kennedy, though initially cautious, began advocating for a comprehensive civil rights bill. His assassination in November 1963, however, placed the monumental task of seeing the legislation through Congress onto his successor, Lyndon B. Johnson. Lyndon B. Johnson, a Southerner himself with a complex history on racial issues, surprisingly committed himself fully to the passage of the bill, framing it as a tribute to Kennedy's legacy and a moral imperative for the nation. He employed his formidable political skills, often referred to as the Johnson treatment, twisting arms, making deals, and relentlessly pushing the legislation through a deeply divided Congress. The bill faced immense opposition, particularly from Southern Democrats, leading to an 83-day filibuster in the Senate, one of the longest in U.S. history. The legislation itself was incredibly comprehensive. Title outlawed discrimination in public accommodations, hotels, restaurants, theaters. Title III prohibited state and municipal governments from denying access to public facilities based on race. Title IV encouraged school desegregation. Title VI banned discrimination by recipients of federal funds. And significantly, Title VII prohibited employment discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, or national origin, also creating the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, EEOC. Despite the fierce opposition and the lengthy legislative battle, the perseverance of civil rights activists, combined with Johnson's political will and a growing national consensus, ultimately prevailed. On July 2nd, 1964, with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and other civil rights leaders present, President Johnson signed the Civil Rights Act into law in a televised ceremony. It was a momentous occasion, signaling a profound legal and moral shift in the nation's commitment to equality. The immediate impact was transformative. Segregation in public places began to crumble, and opportunities for minorities and women expanded. However, the act was not a panacea. Resistance, particularly in voting rights, continued, leading directly to the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The fight for true equality against systemic racism and ingrained prejudices continued long after the ink dried on the bill. Its effects on gender equality through the inclusion of sex in Title VII also had unforeseen and far-reaching consequences. The Civil Rights Act of 1964, signed on July 2, 1964, remains a cornerstone of American democracy. It stands as a powerful testament to the triumph of human rights over discrimination, the enduring legacy of the civil rights movement and the constant pursuit of a more perfect union. Its principles continue to shape legal battles and social dialogues today, reminding us of the progress made and the work that still remains in the pursuit of genuine equality for all. For more deep dives into pivotal historical moments, make sure to follow us.